I just want to say I apologize for not being on Zoom. I couldn't get in on any of my devices, so I just called in. And I want to say good evening to everyone, and thank you, Mr. Flores, for this time. What I want to do is I just want to talk a few minutes about the church's role. I'm sorry, and I'm the pastor of Washington Chapel CME Church there in Parkville. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the church's role in improving mental health and physical health in the African American community. Today, people of color find it more comforting and even more convenient to go to the church and to talk to the pastor about issues, because in some African American communities, it's thought of as a sign of weakness, and some even have a feeling of shame to have mental health issues and to even seek some type of assistance. Some people in the community, they don't want to do it, the assistance or the treatment for it. And this is actually it's a stigma in our community. And most churches, along with faith-based organizations, are equipped to refer or they provide resources to assist in mental and physical health issues. Pastors and leaders of the church may or may not have medical degrees or to prescribe meds that may be needed, for examples, for maybe a diagnosis of anxiety or something like that and other healing challenges, but they have psychology, sociology, and divinity degrees, and that gives them the opportunity to counsel in their spiritual capacities. In 2013, a study from Ward, Wilshire, Detroit, and Brown stated that Black and African Americans hold beliefs related to stigma, psychological openness, and help-seeking, which is in turn affecting their coping behaviors. The participants in this study were not very open to acknowledging psychological problems, but they were somewhat open to seek mental health services. They were okay with that, but they weren't okay with sharing in that study or in that group setting. And in speaking with some members of an elderly housing development, some people shared with me of not trusting the medical doctors, and that was reasons why they didn't go to the doctor. 6 out of the 10 people that I spoke with said that they did not trust the doctors. 4 stated that they had no problem going to the physicians, but they were more prone to go to the emergency room than to go to a doctor's appointment. That was more convenient for them. They could just get in, get out. It wasn't any type of commitment or anything. In 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service had a syphilis study at the Tuskegee Institute called the Tuskegee Study of Untreated Syphilis in the Negro Male. And 600 black men were used in the project. 399 of them had syphilis and 201 did not have syphilis. This study was done without the informed permission and consent of the participants. The researchers told the men they were being treated for bad blood, and this term was used, it was a local term that was used for to describe several type of ailments like syphilis, anemia, and fatigue. That's what they used. You have bad blood. So in exchange for participating in the project, these men were given free meals, free medical exams, and free burial insurance. This project was to last for 6 months, but it actually lasted for 40 years. These men walked around with syphilis for 40 years. They never were given adequate treatment, and even when penicillin was the treatment of choice in 1947, these men were not able to even get the medicine or even to make the choice to decide to come out or to stop with the study. So in 1973, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of the participants and their families. And in 1974, a $10 million out-of-court settlement was reached. In 1975, wives, widows, and children were also included into that class action lawsuit. And so here it is at 2021. Some of these people that were affected, whether, they were actually there, which, a lot of them may not be around because, of course, they died. And then some of the families are still around. And so by this horrible misjudgment of medical malfeasance, they're still living and they're fully aware of this travesty of the African American community. And so this is stressful, and it's this stressful experiment. It's an example of why some African Americans don't trust doctors or want to go to doctors to seek for mental and for physical health. Other reasons for them not seeking mental and physical health is transportation. Some people can't get around, family obligations, the cost of services, going to a private psychiatrist or psychologist or a health doctor, other agencies or facilities that provide these health services, they're charging. And sometimes you'll go to the doctor and you'll see a sign that says payment due upon your visit, upon your service. And some people just don't have it. But fortunately, there are several health centers that offer behavioral and physical health services, and kind of like in a one-stop shop, such as the Swope Health Service and the Samuel U. Rogers Health Centers. And these facilities are for low-income persons and people without any health insurances. So both of these agencies, they have locales in the South Kansas City area. They have them north of the river, eastern Jackson County, and also in the state of Kansas. And for the convenience of the patient, medical charges and fees are based on a sliding scale. So they go by your income. You pay for the service based on your income, regardless of what their economic status is. Whatever your income is, that is what you pay, whether you have insurance or not. And you're able to see the doctor, even if you don't have money that day to pay for it. Also, transportation is provided at a very low cost for people who maybe don't drive or is not accessible to the bus or the share fare. They have transportation. But spiritually speaking, from the capacity of a pastor, those individuals are seeking a type of a physical/mental healing from the pastor. And because it is so much easier to take for someone who knows you, it's easier to talk to someone. It's easier if they know your family, or maybe you're in their church and they know the situation, and so it's easier to go in and talk to your pastor on a personal note. Mental health ministries provided by the church, and they are very needed. It's a very needed entity to the African American community. Therefore, the church needs to be able to provide hope through a holistic approach for coping with challenges of life experiences that puts them out of control or out of commission, or it affects their everyday living. People of color or they have lost jobs behind in the rent and mortgages payments, shortages of food, and the virtual schools. We have people that are working, and the children are at home, and that's very stressful. The children are at home, so someone may or may not be home with them, and so who's helping them with their work? They may not have a laptop or a computer there, although most of the districts provided them. But it's a lot of stress on the parent, especially a single parent. It's for the children during the school hours. It's also stressful on them too, and even little people need someone to talk to. These challenges, along with the plague of the COVID-19, cause some mental anguish, and the church is ready to assist, and it is on speed dial to help those who just can't stand no more. So I want to thank you.